Well, good morning, folks. It is Thursday, June 18th, and my name's Michelle, and this is another edition of Daily Videos with me. Let's get started, shall we? Today's reflection. Tell me about love. It is our only real choice, the only thing that we can truly give. How do we do that? Choose it above all else. Love is leading me back to the highest possible version of myself. It's me leading you back to who you were created to be. It is the most important choice we can make for each other. Those closest to us, you mean? No, everyone, everything. Widening our circle at every opportunity. Sounds hard. So is being born, but we all do it. Ooh, I like that. I may use that in my sermon next Sunday. I like that. Loving everyone and widening the circle at every opportunity. That is such a important thing to do. Someone once asked me what I mean when I say stay brown. Well, my people say that life is a circle. They say that we are part of all life. They also say that as part of all of life, we are creating our lives every instant we are here. My spiritual father taught me this way. What I think I create, what I create I become. What I become I express. What I express I experience. What I experience I am. And so on and so on. That's the circle moving. My responsibility to myself and to life is to act as though I believe this until I do believe it. So stay brown. Be the circle moving. Let's have a little moment of prayer. Our Father and Mother, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, as we forgive our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. All right. So I just realized that we haven't done too many good news stories from CNN. Let's take a deep breath. But before I just share a few good news, I just want to talk a little bit further about that winding the circle, because my sermon next Sunday, not this Sunday, but centers around the text where Jesus says, welcome all, who you welcome me. When you welcome someone, you welcome me. And I just want to talk, I'm going to be talking about just the importance of welcoming people and really welcoming them for who they are. I have an eyelash in my eye, even those who have eyelashes in their eyes. And really seeing people. My wife and I have been watching the latest season of Pose. And if you've never seen Pose, it's a great show. It's on Netflix. In the show, there's these African Americans who are trans, and a lot of people don't see them for who they really are. You know, they don't recognize them for their true selves. And there's this scene where one of the trans people, she dies, and her version of heaven, because it shows her like kind of entering heaven, and the song that's playing is "Never Knew Love Like This Before," and she enters into this room where all her true family, those who accepted her and loved her, are just they're giving her just so much love and support, and I love that imagery. You know that. It was a beautiful moment. And I just think about that. I think about how important it is for us to truly see people, and when we welcome people, we should be welcoming their true selves, not the version of themselves that we wish they were, or it should be their true selves. And so I think that's a challenge for us as we continue to be Jesus, to continue what Jesus started. Because Jesus, when he healed people, he didn't ask them to be anyone else but their most authentic selves. And for us, we are called to welcome and love people for who they really are. So anyway, that's just my a little spiel of what I'm thinking about. I haven't really started working too much on my sermon yet. But here are some good news stories just to share. There is good news that's happening. So Squeaky Clean Kindness is the name of this one. So when your nickname is the Dog Father of Harlem, you know you're doing something right. Brian Taylor owns the Harlem Doggy Day Spa in New York City, and he's living up to that name by offering free services to pet parents financially impacted by the virus. Taylor says he's lost about 80% of his business because of the restrictions, but his regulars are extremely loyal and kind. When Taylor posted about a pup relief fund online, plenty of customers pitched in. With their help, Taylor raised $2,000 and has helped about 12 pet owners so far. And here's a fun fact. Taylor started his career in finance, but decided to get certified as a groomer in 2010 after noticing there weren't a lot of grooming facilities in Harlem. A decade later, he has groomed more than 6,000 dogs. That is amazing. And then we'll share one more. This one's their Karate Kid. I love that movie, Karate Kid. Jeffrey Wall, who's 15, is as compassionate as he is fierce. The accomplished Tang Soo Do Korean martial artist is helping his community stay fit while sharing his love of the sport with everyone, especially senior citizens. Before the pandemic, Wall taught karate at a local nursing home. He named his program Golden Age Karate and refers to his students as super nanas and super grandpas. However, with social distancing, he had to get creative. He started posting classes on YouTube and Instagram. With the help of his fans, sends love notes to help his students feel less lonely. His slick moves and big heart have earned him kudos from around the world, but he says he's counting down the days until we can see his super seniors again. To see their faces light up is the best feeling in the world, he says. And so that is, that's great, isn't it? Yeah. So let's get into let's find out who our woman of the day is. And our woman of the day is, drumroll, Elizabeth Blackwell, the first Anglo-American female doctor. So let's hear about Elizabeth, shall we? So she was born in Bristol, England, 1821. Her parents were active in the movement to end slavery. Her dad was a loving father who refused to beat his children, as many parents did back then. Elizabeth and her 8 brothers and sisters had very happy childhoods. And there she is right there. When Elizabeth was 11, her dad moved his family to the U.S., even though his sugar business depended on slave labor. He tried to change the industry and took his family to anti-slavery meetings. The children even refused to eat sugar in support of the cause of the slaves. Her beloved father died when Elizabeth was 17, but she and her siblings continued his work, even though they no longer had any money. Elizabeth said, "It's not easy to be a pioneer, but oh, it is fascinating." She said, "If society will not admit of women's free development, then society must be remodeled." So Elizabeth became a teacher and set up a school with her sisters because she needed the money and because she loved history. In fact, she found everything to do with the human body disgusting. But then something happened to change her mind and her life completely. A close friend who was dying said to her that she would not have suffered as much if her doctor had been a woman. In that moment, Elizabeth was inspired to become a doctor, but it wasn't easy because no woman had ever done it before in America, nor indeed in most of the world. The very first record of a female doctor is of Agnatis, who worked in Greece around 350 BC. Dorita Bucca was a physician in Italy sometime before 1390. And of course, many thousands of women worked as midwives and healers, but were not formally trained or recognized as doctors. The medical world was a man's world, and it did not welcome women. So she set about to change that, convincing 2 doctor friends to help her study. She applied to dozens of medical colleges and was rejected all but one, Geneva Medical College in New York. Certain that male students would never allow a woman to join them, the college let them vote on whether or not she should be admitted. Believing it to be a practical joke, they all voted yes. Although they hadn't taken her seriously, their prank paid off for Elizabeth, who became the first female medical student in the U.S. In 1849, she became the first woman to earn a medical degree from an American medical school. She traveled to work in the clinics in London, where she became friends with Florence Nightingale, and to Paris, where she studied midwifery. In Paris, however, she caught an eye disease from one of her patients that caused her to go blind in one eye, ending her dreams of becoming a surgeon. Returning to New York, she set up her own medical practice because no one else would hire a female doctor. Soon, she was joined by her younger sister and their friend. Together, they opened the New York Infirmary for Women and Children, which care for the poor. And 10 years later, they opened a medical college for women. Elizabeth never married because she wanted to be self-sufficient, but she did adopt an Irish orphan named Kitty. Returning with Kitty to England, Elizabeth established a successful medical practice in London and founded the National Health Society to promote good hygiene, believing that prevention is better than cure. She was far ahead of her time, understanding that simple hand washing could stop the spread of many diseases. For what is done or learned by one class of women becomes, by virtue of their common womanhood, the property of all women, she said. So she cared for thousands of women before, during, and after childbirth. She wrote and published many books. Elizabeth was indeed a pioneer. Shortly after she blazed a trail into the medical world, other women began to join her from all over the U.S. and Europe. She changed the way people saw women in the medical profession forever. And there's a medical bag, and there she is right there. And so Elizabeth Blackwell, my friends. And tomorrow, our woman of the day will be Eva Peron. Okay, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Evan Peron, who was a champion of the poor and women's rights. And so it is fun to hear about all these fascinating and inspiring women. And so, my friends, I do hope all of you are doing well in these times. I hope you're finding joy, finding ways to have fun. I know on Saturday I'll be heading out to spend the day on the river. I'm going out kayaking. Hopefully the weather holds up. But as I said, I do hope you're doing okay. And I hope that we continue to spread love, increase love, decrease hate. That's my motto. That's my new motto. Increase love, decrease hate as much as we possibly can, because there is a lot of hate in this world. And so let's continue on with Hunger Games, shall we? And let's finish up this chapter. Let's see what Katniss has gotten herself into. Despite the pain, drowsiness begins to take over. I take to a tree and try to rest, except I'd be too easy to spot. Besides, abandoning my pool seems impossible. I neatly arrange my supplies, even settle my pack on my shoulders, but I can't seem to leave. I spot some water plants with edible roots and make a small meal with my last piece of rabbit. Sip water, watch the sun make its slow arc across the sky. Where would I go, anyway, that is any safer than here? If I lean on my pack, overcome by drowsiness, if the careers want me, let them find me. I think before drifting into a stupor, let them find me. And find me they do. It's lucky I'm ready to move on, because when I hear the feet, I have less than a minute head start. Everything has begun to fall. The moment I'm awake, I'm up and running, splashing across the pool, flying into the underbrush. My leg slows me down, but I sense my pursuers are not as speedy as they were before the fire either. I hear their coughs, their raspy voices calling to one another. Still, they're closing in just like a pack of wild dogs. And so I do what I have done my whole life in such circumstances. I pick a high tree and begin to climb. If running hurt, climbing is agonizing because it requires not only exertion but direct contact to my hands on the tree bark. I'm fast though, and by the time they've reached the base of the trunk, I'm 20 feet up. For a moment we stop and survey one another. I hope they can't hear the pounding of my heart. This could be it, I think. What chance do I have against them? All 6 are there, the 5 careers and Peeta. My only consolation is they're pretty beat up too. Even so, look at their weapons. Look at their faces, grinning and snarling at me, a sure kill above them. It seems pretty hopeless, but then something else registers. They're bigger and stronger than I am, no doubt, but they're also heavier. There's a reason it's me and not Gale who ventures up to pluck the highest fruit or rob the most remote bird nests. I must weigh at least 50 or 60 pounds less than the smallest career. Now I smile. How's everything with you? I call down cheerfully. This takes them aback, but I know the crowd will love it. Well enough, says the boy from District 2. Yourself? It's been a bit warm for my taste, I say. I can almost hear the laughter from the Capitol. The air's better up here. Why don't you come on up? Think I will, says the same boy. Here, take this, Cato, says the girl from District 1, and she offers them the silver bow and sheath of arrows. My bow, my arrows! Just the sight of them makes me so angry I want to scream at myself, at that traitor Peeta for distracting me from having them. I try to make eye contact with him, but he seems to be intentionally avoiding my gaze as he polishes his knife with the edge of his shirt. No, says Cato, pushing away the bow. I'll do better with my sword. I can see the weapon, a short, heavy blade at his belt. I give Cato time to hoist himself in a tree before I begin to climb again. Gale always says I remind him of a squirrel, the way I can scurry up even the slenderest limbs. Part of it's my weight, but part of it's practice. You have to know where to place your hands and feet. I'm another 30 feet in the air when I hear the crack and look down to see Cato flailing as he and a branch go down. He hits the ground hard, and I'm hoping he possibly broke his neck when he gets back to his feet, swearing like a fiend. The girl with the arrows glimmer, and I hear someone call her. Ugh, the names that people in District 1 give their children are so ridiculous. Anyway, Glimmer scales the tree until the branches can begin to crack under her feet, and then has the good sense to stop. I'm at least 80 feet high now. She tries to shoot me, and it's immediately evident that she's incompetent with a bow. One of the arrows gets lodged in the tree near me, though, and I'm able to seize it. I wave it teasingly above her head as if this was the sole purpose of retrieving it, when actually I mean to use it if I ever get the chance. I could kill them, every one of them, if those silver weapons were in my hands. The careers regroup on the ground, and I can hear them growling conspiratorially among themselves, furious. I have made them look foolish. But twilight has arrived, and their window of attack on me is closing. Finally, I hear Peeta say harshly, "Oh, let her stay up there. It's not like she's going anywhere. We'll deal with her in the morning." Well, he's right about one thing. I'm going nowhere. All the relief from the pool water is gone, leaving me to feel the full potency of my burns. I scoot down to a fork in the tree and clumsily prepare for bed. Put on my jacket, lay out my sleeping bed, belt myself in, and try to keep from moaning. The heat of the bag's too much for my leg. I cut a slash in the fabric and hang my calf out in the open air. I drizzle water on the wound. My hands, all my bravado is gone. I'm weak from pain and hunger, but can't bring myself to eat, even if I can last the night. What will the morning bring? I stare into the foliage, trying to will myself to rest, but the burns forbid it. Birds are settling down for the night, singing lullabies to their young. Night creatures emerge, an owl hoots. The faint scent of skunk cuts through the smoke. The eye of some animal peer at me from the neighboring tree, a possum maybe, catching the firelight from the career's torches. Suddenly, I'm up on one elbow. Those are no possum's eyes. I know their glassy reflection too well. In fact, those are not animal eyes at all. In the last dim rays of light, I make her out, watching me silently from between the branches. Rue. How long has she been here? The whole time, probably, still and unobserved as the action unfolded beneath her. Perhaps she headed up her tree shortly before I did, hearing the pack was so close. For a while, we hold each other's gaze. Then, without even rustling a leaf, her little hand slides into the open and points to something above my head. Dun dun dun! I wonder what is above Katniss's head. And so, my friends, that concludes that portion of Hunger Games. I do hope all of you have a wonderful Thursday, and I pray you stay safe out there. And may God's love be with you, now and always. Take care, my friends.